He
Did you
raised
see
his
that?
hand in
Oh
front
my
of her.
God, he actually hit her.
Claire felt the
front of
world tighten
everyone.
around her as Marcus's palm landed on her face. A sharp crack, more humiliating than painful. She stood, pregnant, uncertain, and watched the guests freeze while crystal glasses shook on white linen. The city's elite stared, pretending not to see. The room had been full of laughter and talk just seconds before. Now there was only shock. Marcus towered over her, demanding she kneel and clean his shoes, as if this was nothing out of the ordinary. Claire's cheeks burned hotter than any spotlight. For a split second, she tried to anchor herself in memory. His gentle hand grazing her thigh their first night out. Warm lips tracing the edge of her shoulder. That man felt like a distant relative. The tension in her chest was sharp as broken glass. Champagne fizzed in a glass nearby, untouched. Voices whispered her name, but nobody moved to help. Rage and humiliation battled in her veins. The suit jacket she wore, stretched over her pregnancy, felt suddenly too tight. The world expected her to submit. Claire straightened her spine. Marcus's friends laughed loudly, calling another woman Mrs. The sound landed like an echo of betrayal. Claire looked at Marcus, searching for the man who promised love. All she found was arrogance. As he took the mic and called her useless, Claire saw it written in every face around her. She was alone. If you've ever watched someone ignore every red flag for love, let this moment remind you. Pride can poison everything. What made Marcus explode in front of everyone? How does love transform into humiliation? Comment below. Have you ever seen a party turn cruel in seconds? The truth didn't come with a warning sign. It crept in. Claire fell for Marcus fast. He charmed her at late-night company mixers, made small jokes about her hometown, and bought her favorite coffee before big meetings. She wanted to believe people could change for love. When Marcus sent flowers after her stressful week, Claire overlooked how he snapped at the waiter for a slow refill. Friends whispered about his temper, tiny flashes of anger that shook the room. His text messages often ended abruptly. Calls sometimes came with a sharp, "That's enough." Claire stored those doubts in a locked drawer deep inside. She convinced herself love was supposed to feel dangerous sometimes. There were nights Marcus held her close, tracing her spine with hungry fingertips, only to turn away the second his phone buzzed. She pretended his coldness was exhaustion, convinced his passion was proof of devotion. But each time she saw him scroll his phone, thumb lingering on hidden notifications, Claire felt her heart thud a little louder with worry. The tension between them gradually replaced affection. After a Wall Street gala, Marcus asked her to dress less loud. When she argued for just a touch of color, his jaw locked. Claire's hope fought against despair as morning light revealed a stranger in her bed. She couldn't ignore the final red flag. Messages from a woman named Jay. Claire's fingers trembled as she read them. Plans, inside jokes, reminders to stay hidden. Her world tilted as she realized Marcus had crossed lines she could never forgive. Claire didn't sleep the night after the dinner party. Marcus's words replayed in her mind. The slap, the laughter, and the crushing weight of being called useless. By sunrise, all she could see was the cold curve of his back as he dressed for work, buttoning his shirt like nothing had happened. She moved fast, cornering him in the kitchen. "We need to talk now," Claire demanded. Marcus stared, eyes empty, as if daring her to challenge him. When she began to ask about the messages, his temper snapped like a whip. "You're paranoid. You snoop through my life and wonder why I'm angry?" The argument burned between them. Marcus stepped into her space, close enough that his breath warmed her cheek. but every particle in the air sparked with unspoken threat. Sometimes, when they fought, Claire remembered the closeness they once shared, the race of hearts under silk sheets, the fire in Marcus's hands. Now those same hands felt unpredictable. Claire reached to touch his arm, desperate for any sign he still cared. Marcus pulled away hard, breaking the fragile bridge between them. "I'm not doing this. You're making me look weak in front of our friends. If you don't like it, leave," he hissed. At that moment, Claire saw the truth. She was trapped in a loveless struggle, her pregnancy a hostage to his pride. The choice was clear. That day, she walked into a lawyer's office with trembling hands and a fierce heart. Power doesn't always look like rage. It can sound like a locked door, a signed form. Who holds the cards in a marriage built on secrecy? Would you stay and fight or walk away for good? Claire packed her life into 3 bags and left Manhattan. Back in Hartford, the silence felt honest, even if it stung. Her $200,000 in savings became her lifeline. She found a modest apartment and poured herself into searching for a new beginning. Her hometown wasn't glamorous, but it was real. A job posting caught her eye. Investment associate at a rising trust company. She wore her best suit and let her credentials do the talking. University of Connecticut grad, years on Wall Street, plenty of scars. The interview panel noticed her drive and sharp answers. Soon, she was working 12-hour days with a team who respected her grit. Claire's new world mixed business with heartbreak, but it also gave her a reason to wake up each morning. One afternoon in the break room, she traded quips with a colleague. His easy smile sparked a rush in her stomach. The flirtation was innocent, shared coffee, fingers brushing while passing reports, but for Claire, it was proof she was alive. The hours flew by. She started climbing, reading market trends late into the night, hunting for opportunities others missed. Her manager recognized her ambition and handed her bigger projects. Eventually, a promotion landed. Deputy director. She now oversaw multi-million-dollar accounts, including a fresh file marked Marcus Reed. Every successful day chipped away at old pain, replaced by the rush of building something new. Would you rise after heartbreak, or let it harden into bitterness? Share in the comments if you've ever rebuilt your life from scratch. The day Claire first sat across from Marcus as his asset manager, the boardroom was sunlight and tension. Marcus entered confidently, still dressed in the trappings of old wealth. He scanned the room, expecting deference. But Claire met his gaze with the cool determination of someone who had learned strength the hard way. Marcus barely recognized the woman across from him. There was no trace of hesitation. Claire welcomed him with the professionalism reserved for clients, not lovers. She detailed the numbers, projected growth, and outlined new opportunities. Marcus ignored her expertise and tried to undermine her authority with comments about starting over. Yet Claire leaned in, voice steady. She finished her presentation and slid him a proposal. Flawless on the surface, but crafted with intricate layers only she understood. Marcus's eyes narrowed. He tried reading her face for weakness and found none. Claire returned his look with a silent challenge, lips curved in a subtle half-smile that delivered more than any sharp comeback. The air crackled between them, memories of old passion mixing with present conflict. Marcus's arrogance was not met with passive retreat, but with a rebounding confidence that made everyone in the room tense. The secretary paused, glancing between them, sensing something he couldn't place. Marcus signed the paperwork, brushing his fingers against Claire's during the exchange. The simple touch sent a jolt up her spine, but neither flinched. The game had shifted. Claire's eyes promised, "This is just the beginning." If you've ever turned a moment of pain into power, comment below with your story. What happens when the person you once feared now fears you? Claire's proposal hit a trap, but Marcus was too sure of himself to notice. Will the architect of revenge find peace? Or does vengeance always carry a cost? Marcus never noticed the subtle signals that danger was close. Claire worked quietly, guiding her secretary to prepare the investment package with casual precision. The numbers shone on a paper. High returns, almost no risk. Marcus glanced at the summary, convinced his fortune would multiply. He brushed aside the suggestion to double-check, hurrying to sign before the markets shifted. During that week, after a long meeting, Claire and Marcus ended up alone in the elevator. The doors slid shut, leaving only the soft hum and the weight of their history in the small space. Marcus stood close, searching Claire's face for any crack. She held his gaze, steady and silent. As the elevator dropped, Marcus's fingers brushed lightly against her arm, deliberate, testing. Claire didn't pull away. The air buzzed between them, old sparks mixed with fresh contempt. Marcus left the elevator that day, contract in hand, convinced he had outplayed the world. Claire watched him go, heart thumping with both satisfaction and unease. No matter how many times he'd tried to dominate her life, today the scales shifted. She felt both strong and exposed. The stakes were sky high, not just for fortunes, but for pride. The documents arrived at Marcus's lawyer by evening. He signed without a second thought, his signature neat and bold at the bottom of the page. It was done. Every dollar, every asset, every ounce of his confidence was on the line. Would you have seen through the setup, or fallen for confidence and promises? The night after the paperwork, Claire lay awake wondering, would the plan work? Tomorrow, Marcus's entire future hung by a thread she now held. The game was finally real. The next morning brought headlines, phone calls, and chaos. Marcus's $437 million holding crashed overnight, swept into Claire's accounts with ruthless efficiency. Financial news ticked across screens, analysts baffled, his former allies texting anxious questions he had no answers for. Marcus stood in his office, eyes wide, mouth dry, knuckles white against his desk. The betrayal was as sharp as anything money could buy. Marcus scrambled to call Claire, rage and regret mixing in equal measure. When she picked up, her voice was calm, almost gentle, but with an edge he'd never heard before. He demanded answers, accused her of orchestrating his downfall. Claire listened in silence, letting him burn through his anger. "You played me," Marcus spat, voice cracking. In that long pause, their history pressed close. A memory of hands in hair, lips pressed to skin, all now replaced by a chill that felt deeper than any winter. "You never looked twice at risk until it cost you everything. Thought you were untouchable," Claire replied. He knew she was right. The call ended with nothing left to say. Marcus watched as his empire disappeared. The woman he once controlled now controlled his destiny. Crowds clustered around TV screens as Claire's victory made the news. Cameras flashed, people cheered, and Marcus sat alone watching her smile take over the city. Would you mourn money lost or power lost? Can pride ever fully recover when it's been sold out for ambition? Marcus's fall was complete, but the story wasn't over. Late one night, Claire heard frantic knocking at her door. Marcus stood in the hallway, disheveled, eyes red, pride erased. He fell to his knees, begging for forgiveness. Tears streaked down his face, soaking the expensive collar he once wore so proudly. Claire stood back, thinking how quickly fortunes could reverse. Marcus's voice was hoarse as he pleaded. "I made mistakes. I lost sight. Please, I need a chance." The man who once used power as a weapon was now powerless at her feet. There was a pause, a heavy, electric moment when their eyes met, the memory of their former closeness flickering in the air. For a heartbeat, the memory of tangled sheets and whispered promises surfaced, but reality pressed harder. Every humiliation, every harsh word, every empty apology danced between them. Claire waited, letting the silence pull tension taut. Marcus crawled forward, desperate for any sign of hope. In that instant, Claire was both judge and jury. She reached down, brushing a curl from his forehead, not with tenderness, but with measured distance. The years of dominance shifted into something neither one had known. Her power. What would you do if the person who broke you returned with nothing left but regret? Comment below. Can anyone truly change? Or is forgiveness just another trap? Claire leaned close and whispered a single condition. You want a second chance? Prove you deserve it. This time, I hold the rules. Marcus looked up, stunned, powerless. The role reversal was complete, but the real test had only begun. From that day, Marcus waited. Claire made him wrestle with uncertainty, letting each hour stretch. She attended meetings with a quiet confidence, rarely glancing his way. The office was packed with onlookers. Marcus was forced to play the part of humble client, no longer the admired tycoon. He tried to catch her eye in the break room, in the hall, desperate to see if old sparks remained. Sometimes their hands brushed, sometimes Claire's perfume, familiar, dangerous, made Marcus's heart ache with longing and shame. She came close, never inviting him in, letting desire turn to anxiety. Marcus struggled with what he'd been. His arrogance faded, but shame burned in its place. In the boardroom, he felt the charge whenever Claire addressed him directly, words sharp, gaze even sharper. She asked direct questions. He fumbled answers. The game had changed. He was no longer sure who he was fighting for, his money or her approval. Viewers, have you ever suffered uncertainty at the hands of someone you once hurt? Does revenge heal, or does it simply keep old wounds fresh? What would you do when tables turn and every glance feels like judgment? Near the end of the week, Claire called Marcus to her office, her tone unreadable. "There are things you don't know," she said quietly. "You're not the only one with secrets, Marcus." He stared at her, half scared, half hopeful. The suspense only grew. Marcus realized he'd lost control, and the new game was played by Claire's rules. As Claire dug deeper into Marcus's legacy, secrets surfaced. Account ledgers revealed hidden loans, unaudited deals with names Marcus barely recognized. Claire worked late, piecing together the mess he'd left her to manage. Each document told a story of betrayal, not just of her, but of old business partners who trusted him once. She reached out to a longtime friend on the team, someone who'd been loyal through every storm. Late nights in the office blurred into heartfelt talks over takeout. Shadows danced on office walls as they leaned in closer, voices hushed, trust building. The intimacy of shared purpose grew, hinting at something more than teamwork. One folder changed everything, a signed agreement, never disclosed, buried for years. The name on the contract belonged to Marcus's best friend, Justin. The money should have helped grow Marcus's firm, but the funds had vanished into thin air. The betrayal was complete. Marcus's circle had not just betrayed Claire, but Marcus himself. The pressure mounted. If this news went public, Marcus's last bit of reputation would collapse. Claire's own position felt fragile. One wrong move, and her rise could become a fall. Would you risk everything to expose the truth when it could leave you with nothing? Should loyalty be paid back, or do some betrayals demand justice? The final page of the file hid a line that could ruin them both. Claire held it in trembling hands, feeling the full weight of the secrets she now controlled. The last betrayal was hiding in plain sight. All that remained was what Claire would do next. Claire tightened her grip on the company with calculated moves. Every decision she made chipped away at Marcus's control. The tables had turned, and now she mastered the game. Marcus, once so sure of his power, found himself outmatched. His attempts to regain influence were met with cold answers and clear limits. One afternoon, Claire invited Marcus to her office. The room was still and heavy, their eyes locked in a silent battle, a mix of old passion and fresh fury. Words carried unspoken threats and the weight of past betrayals. Marcus's arrogance clashed against Claire's calm authority. "I'm done playing second fiddle," Claire said coolly. "Either you accept the terms or you lose everything." Marcus swallowed, his usual confidence flickering. The fire in their shared past still lingered, rough and tender all at once. A charged glance, a breath held too long, both wondering if the lines between love and war had blurred forever. Viewers, when does love become a battlefield? Can power be shared when hearts are broken? What would you do if the person you once trusted became your greatest enemy? Claire's ultimatum sent Marcus reeling. He realized winning might mean losing more than he bargained for. The scandal erupted like wildfire. Claire's revelations spread through the media, exposing Marcus's failings and igniting public scrutiny. Headlines screamed of betrayal and loss. Legal battles dragged long and sharp, tearing at reputations and alliances. In the courtroom, Claire faced Marcus across the room. Their encounters were icy but charged, an unspoken current pulling at everything they'd been. Every gaze, every word held a secret, a fragment of desire and regret. Outside the legal arena, pressure mounted. Rivals circled, eager to take advantage of the chaos. Claire stood firm, knowing every move could either cement her rise or risk everything she'd built. Amidst the storm, moments came when Claire found unexpected softness. In a quiet glance, a shared smile with a confidant who understood her weight. Audience, have you ever seen truth break through chaos? Can strength ever rise from ruin? How do you hold on when the world feels ready to fall apart? Claire's risky decision to protect her legacy and forge ahead set the stage for a new chapter. But the fight was far from over. Claire launched a foundation aimed at empowering women and changing systems that failed people like her. With every speech, every handshake, she stepped further from the shadows of her past. Challenges came fast. Doubt from insiders, enemies hidden behind smiles, questions about her motives. Balancing ambition and healing was a tightrope walk. Yet, in quiet moments with a trusted ally, Claire allowed herself to feel more than power. Vulnerability showed soft edges beneath steel resolve. A reminder that strength is not just in domination, but in connection. Her foundation's success sparked hope, lighting a path for others. Yet threats loomed, ready to tear away the new ground she'd claimed. Viewers, can power and compassion exist side by side? What does true change look like? Have you ever found light in your darkest moments? The unexpected challenge threatening Claire's progress kept everyone holding their breath. Was this the final test, or a new beginning? Claire prepared her ultimate strategy to secure her control over Marcus's empire for good. Every detail was planned, every alliance measured. Marcus, desperate, made one last attempt to reclaim what he lost. The confrontation was fiery, full of bitter words and unspoken truths. Yet, beneath the heat, a reluctant respect simmered, a recognition that neither could undo what had been. This battle wasn't just about money or power, it was about who they had become. Claire delivered a verdict that stunned Marcus, one that laid bare their shared past and present strength. Audience, when is the right time to walk away? How far would you go to protect what matters most? Does victory come with sacrifice? Claire's final move was more than a win. It was a transformation of life, love, and legacy. Claire stood at the edge of a new horizon, her journey complete, but her story only beginning. Wealth had changed, but more than money, power, or revenge, it was her strength and dignity that defined her. Her pregnancy had become a symbol of life reclaimed, a new chapter of hope and purpose. Tender moments revealed a woman fully in command of her body and desires, a queen in her own right, not defined by past pain. As the city buzzed around her, Claire invited the world to reflect on betrayal, resilience, and the power of self-worth. Have you ever faced loss only to rise stronger? Could you transform hurt into hope? Her final words lingered, a whisper and a punch. No one owns your story but you. The journey ended, but the lessons echoed in every heart watching.